Hi, my name is Dr. Stephen Stokes, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about Hashimoto's disease. And first, I just want to say I've helped patients with Hashimoto's for over 20 years. I think I understand it pretty much, or as well as anybody can understand an autoimmune disease. And this is the key factor, right? Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease. It's not the same as being diagnosed with a hypothyroid or hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism is very easy to treat, in my opinion. It can be treated sometimes with just diet changes. But if you are trying to treat Hashimoto's disease the same way you would just treat a sluggish thyroid, you could run into trouble, especially if you're using things like iodine that tend to give the thyroid a bump, which would be good if you have a sluggish thyroid. But if you have Hashimoto's, if you're suffering from an autoimmune disease, you can activate that immune system more. And then next thing you know, you're getting more antibodies, more attacking on the thyroid. You're going to get very sick very quickly, and I see that a lot as well. Unfortunately, it's pretty prevalent in the medical community to treat Hashimoto's and hypothyroid almost identically. And I want to really break that down in this video, and I want to give you some ideas to get some relief, to get some health, some healing of your thyroid if you have Hashimoto's. Some of these I think are going to be ideas you've never heard of before, like using PMGs, protomorphogens to divert the attack away from the thyroid. They're pretty interesting concepts, and let's get into that. But before we do, I'd like to also mention that the word thyroid, the gland was called a thyroid because it looks like an ancient Greek shield. And this chap, Thomas Wharton, he saw the correlation and he said, well, this looks like that shield. And the ancient Greek terminology for that shield was a thyreos. I hope I'm saying that correctly, a thyreos. And so he adopted that term, thyreos, and called the gland a thyroid. And it makes sense, right? Because it's kind of like a shield. The thyroid really does everything in the body. If your thyroid is not working right, as you're going to see very shortly, you're going to be very sick and you're going to feel lousy. And so the idea of this information is to help you feel better. Remember, people, I'm not a scientist, right? I'm a clinician. Everything I give you is based on my clinical experiences. It's not based on hardcore science. It's just what I've seen clinically work over 20 years of helping people with Hashimoto's. So take what I'm going to say as a foundation to build upon, right? Talk to your doctor about it, think about it, meditate on it, whatever you need to do. Make your own decisions or call me and discuss it with me. Don't just jump into these concepts blindly. If something can help you, then it can hurt you as well. And you need to remember that. And these herbs that I discuss, these are not candy. These are not placebos. They're really strong medicine. And so especially if you are trying to bump up your thyroid, like a hypothyroid situation, and you have an autoimmune disease, many things you can do will activate that immune system, cause it to go out of balance, and you'll actually increase your body's attacking of the gland. It can be disastrous. So proceed with caution, but do proceed. Let's get into it. I'm going to show you some slides that I made so you have a better understanding of Hashimoto's, and then we're going to just jump right into the protocols because that's what I know best of all. We're not going to go too deep here, but I want you to know that there are multiple steps involved in your thyroid making hormone. And so any one of these steps can involve a glitch. So the hypothalamus produces thyroid releasing hormone, which stimulates the pituitary. Then the pituitary releases the thyroid stimulating hormone. That activates the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland then, with the assistance of iodine, produces 93% T4 and 7% T3. Now the T3 is the most usable form, but we're only producing 7% of it. So then what happens is the body continues to take the 93% of T4 made by the thyroid. 60% of that is going to be converted to T3 in the liver. And 20% thyroid hormone, believe it or not, is dependent on gut flora for conversion to active T3. So the reason I bring this up is that if you have a problem with the hypothalamus releasing too little or too much TRH, or the pituitary gland releasing too little or too much TSH, these are problems that are downstream that can cause issues with the thyroid. So it isn't always just the thyroid. Likewise, as we see here, 60% of T4 is converted to T3 in the liver. If you have a liver problem, if you have a sluggish liver, a fatty liver, that can be a problem for you to get enough T3. And the one that blows my mind, right, is the gut flora. So this 20% thyroid hormone produced is dependent on the gut flora, the gut bacteria in the intestines for conversion to active T3. So if you have a problem with your gut flora, you can have enough of an issue with your gut that's going to cause you not to have enough thyroid hormone in your system. That just blows my mind. And of course, what this means is that if stuff doesn't seem to be working in a protocol, then we go deeper, right? And what's going deeper? Going deeper would be doing things to help the liver work better, doing things to balance out the gut flora, doing things to support the hypothalamus or the pituitary. So I want you just to take from this slide the idea that there's a lot of things involved, right? It's not just a simple matter of a problem with the thyroid itself. Let's just quickly look at the differences in symptoms between Hashimoto's disease and the hypothyroid symptoms. And you can see them on the screen here. And there is some overlap, right? This is not a definitive list. There's nothing definitive in medicine, guys. There's always gray areas. But a few things here I want you to notice. By the way, right away, notice with hypothyroid symptoms, as you look down that list, pretty vague types of symptoms that could be caused by almost anything. I highlighted constipation. I want you to also remember that because, as we mentioned, 20% of that unusable hormone is converted to active T3 in the colon, and the gut flora does that. So if there's a problem with your gut flora, we can also see constipation, that's pretty interesting to me. With the Hashimoto's disease itself, very distinct things that we find. This heart palpitation, this trembling, this nervousness, this stuff is pretty definitive though as far as Hashimoto's. A lot of patients will say to me they have anxiety. In fact, that's probably the number one complaint that they give me. Oh, I'm anxious all the time. I have the shakes, this type of thing. Increased pulse even when they're resting. These are signs of Hashimoto's disease. The best way to distinguish between the two is with a blood test called a TPO-AB test. This is going to test for specific antibodies that are going to be present if there is an autoimmune disease happening. That is the key right there. Get that test first. Figure out if it's Hashimoto's versus just hypothyroid, and then you can work from there. If I have a patient and they have super high triglycerides, super high LDLs, and I'm looking at the patient and they don't look like it's a lifestyle thing, like it doesn't look like they're eating a bunch of fish and chips every day type of thing, then I always want to rule out thyroid dysfunction, because that thyroid, it helps us burn fat. And if the thyroid is sluggish, it means we're going to make fat faster than we're going to burn it. Also, it could point to the liver, as we talked about the liver and the connection. And we know that the liver and the gallbladder, they produce the bile. The bile is one way that our body clears that fat from the body. Also clears a lot of toxins through that as well. So a lot of times, if there's a problem with the thyroid, we will see high triglycerides, high LDL. We'll also see a lot of toxicity in the system as well. It's always worth looking at thyroid hormones if people have those high cholesterol markers. Okay, so the first thing we need to realize is that we're dealing with an autoimmune disease. The immune system has these two pathways, the Th1 and the Th2. One is like an immediate response and one is more delayed. Well, the problem is that if you're going into the immune system to try and support it, and you're not sure of the imbalance, if you don't know if these people are Th1 or Th2 dominant, the stuff you're doing to help one pathway may actually boost the other. So you can throw the system off. So the whole key with treating autoimmune diseases, including Hashimoto's, is the balance of the system. This protocol is what I use clinically. It seems to help a lot. I always start with Codliver Oil. I love Codliver Oil because it's a natural source. We get the EPA DHA in there. That is going to tell the immune system to stop it. Any type of inflammatory condition, chronic inflammatory condition where the immune system is on attack, and it needs to stop. Codliver oil has the ability to stop that signal. It tells the immune system, hey guys, stop it. Just stop it. So it's great for any type of chronic inflammatory condition. I love cod liver oil so much because it also has a lot of natural vitamin D in there. That's a great immune system modulator as well. So take 3 of these soft gels with each meal 3 times a day. You need to have a dose like that. It needs to be a strong dose in order to do the job. But you can start slowly. Like on the first day, take 3 with your meal. Second day, take 3 with 2 meals. Third day, take 3 with 3 meals. But you have to get up to 9 a day. That's the key with the cod liver oil. Next product I like this Rehmannia Complex tablet. These are herbs that provide anti-inflammatory activity with the immune system. But the big thing is they suppress activity of the immune system with this hemidesmus. And hemidesmus has a great way of, again, shutting down the overactive immunity that we see with autoimmune diseases. So as a result of that, we're going to get a reduction in inflammatory process. We're going to get a reduction in the number of thyroid antibodies, and we're going to reduce thyroid damage. I have had patients do nothing but take this one product, and I have seen changes on their blood panel in 30 days. So it's a highly recommended product. It works great, has very low risk. I would take 1 to 2 of these 3 times a day. So when I say 1 to 2, 3 times a day, I mean what I say. Start taking 1 at each meal 3 times a day, and then if you do okay with that, bump it up to 2. That's what it means. Everything can be done, in a nice, easy sort of progression. Now the next one is this Thytrophin. Now this Thytrophin is really interesting, right? This is a protomorphogen product, and it's controversial. Some people believe that this is nothing more than expensive protein pills. Other people think that this is a hormone type of a treatment, but it's neither of those. And what this is a specific cellular extract of thyroid tissue taken from animals. And we use this extract. This is the DNA extract of the thyroid tissue. This is not thyroid hormone. We take this, we ingest it, and what happens is that the immune system attacks the product and not the thyroid. So this is a decoy, right? This is a sneaky decoy. We take, again, 9 of these a day, 3 times a day, and they provide a decoy to divert our own immune system to attack the animal tissue and not our own thyroid tissue. It really works well. I think it's based on a lot of great science. People argue about it and say that they're just protein pills, but they're not. So this is something I highly recommend. In fact, there are many different products, many different of these protomorphogen products available depending on what type of tissue we want to create a decoy for. So for the thyroid, we have this Thytrophin that we use. For the heart, we have a heart tissue. For the sex organs, we have a sex organ tissue, and on it goes, right? We have a kidney tissue, liver tissue. So we have these extracts of the DNA from animal tissues that we can use to temporarily trick the immune system, and they work wonderful in dealing with autoimmune diseases. What they do is they give us a window of opportunity, guys, so that your own body can heal and your immune system can reset. Next product is, of course, one of my all-time favorite products. I use it so much. I could have a whole clinic of nothing but this beautiful product. This is elk root, but you may know it by its fancy name, Echinacea. And this is Echinacea Premium. I want you to take 1 of these 3 times a day. Echinacea, this exerts a strong autoimmune modulating effect. And this is very different from an immune stimulator because immune stimulators can sometimes cause chaos when we have autoimmune diseases. What this is going to do is it's going to balance the system. It's going to balance the Th1 with the Th2. This is going to bring up the parts of the immune system that are underactive, and it's going to suppress those that are overactive. Echinacea is a wonderful, wonderful herbal product. I've talked about it extensively in other videos. It's known in herbal circles as elk root, and it's called elk root because the myth or the story behind it is that Native American Indians used to notice that when the elk were sick, they would eat this particular plant. And that's how they discovered the benefits of Echinacea. But it's a wonderful plant, and I recommend it highly, especially for treating autoimmune diseases. Next, I want to talk about thyroid complex. And you notice I have this in red. This is a tricky one, right? This is sort of a not sure recommendation. It depends. It depends on how the autoimmune system is played out. It depends on those Th1 versus Th2 pathways that you have. This has the potential to be the most significant supplement, if you have Hashimoto's, that you could ever take. This has the ability to completely transform your life and make you feel wonderful. It also has the potential to cause chaos. So you have to be careful with this. I recommend 1 to 2 tablets 2 times a day, and I'd recommend you start very slowly. So take 1 tablet once a day. Maybe do that for a day or two. Slowly increase to the dose I recommend. See how you feel. You're going to know right away. Right away, you're either going to feel fantastic or you're going to feel miserable. And if you feel fantastic, congratulations, you've got a winner with thyroid complex tablets. It has bladderwrack. That is traditionally used for the treatment of hypothyroidism because it provides iodine, which of course is essential for the synthesis of the hormone that we saw that in the diagram I had. But it also has Withania and Bacopa. And these have been shown to increase the hormone levels, and they also have a wonderful antioxidant effect that helps to soothe and reduce many of the symptoms of a hypothyroid. Finally, I want to make a shout out mention to, what is this? This is like the wild card, St. John's Wort. I recommend 1 tablet 3 times a day of St. John's Wort. Now, when people think of St. John's Wort, they typically think about a treatment for depression. And it does have some significant results when we look at how it helps people who are depressed. But that is not even what this herb is all about. It's so funny that that's what everybody latched onto, but that's not what the key is. Guys, St. John's Wort is a super powerful antiviral product, right? For viruses, guys. And it attacks viruses that are classified as enveloped. This is things like herpes virus, Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, Ross River virus. If you don't know what Ross River virus is, look it up. Hepatitis B, hepatitis C virus. Many of the viruses that cause the common cold and influenza can be helped with St. John's Wort. What it does is it destroys the encapsulation. It destroys the envelope of the virus so that your own immune system can get in and kill the virus. It's incredible. I mean, it is so good for treatment of like facial herpes. If you're somebody that gets cold sores, you get some of this St. John's Wort, you get it in liquid form, you get it on a Q-tip, you dab it on your cold sore as soon as you feel it coming on, it'll kill that. It'll stop that dead in its tracks. When, how can I say this without getting in trouble? When the nasty virus was around, if you know what I'm talking about, recently, St. John's Wort for me was the answer. And I never did get the virus, and I was not immunized. I wasn't vaccinated, I mean. And I took St. John's Wort every day because that nasty virus that we're talking about, that's encapsulated. So that has that envelope, which means that St. John's Wort would be an effective way to destroy that virus. Something to think about. Why are we using it then with when we're talking about this autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's? Well, for whatever reason, it seems to have a very positive effect on Hashimoto's and on many autoimmune diseases. Does that mean there could be a viral component to most autoimmune diseases? I don't know. I'll leave that up to the scientists. But I do know that when I give St. John's Wort to patients with diseases such as Crohn's disease, diseases like Hashimoto's, MS, man, they do so much better. So keep that in mind and judge accordingly, as they say. Okay. I have a full article accompanying this video on my website that you can download that has more information, and it also has all the product links if you want to try this protocol. I'm also going to put the product links below in the show notes to this video. So look, if you're suffering from a problem with your thyroid, as we mentioned, we want to make sure that it is either a hypothyroid or it's Hashimoto's. It's important to get that test to make sure that you know if the antibodies are present. And if it is Hashimoto's, we must address that in treatment as an autoimmune disease and treat it very similar to any autoimmune disease, as opposed to if we just have a sluggish thyroid, we can kind of give that a bump if we want to, using some very simple nutrition. Big difference between the two. Want to make sure we establish which one we are. And again, if it's Hashimoto's, be more careful in how we treat that. If you're interested, you can reach out to me directly through my website. I don't charge for consults. There's free downloads of my books, articles that I've written. I just want to help. Please subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.